Everybody. Hello, everybody. This is Joseph Farrell with news and views from the Nefarium on Thursday, March 3rd, 2016. And you may be wondering why I'm starting off this news and views laughing. I have just finished reading an article that was sent to me by Ms. KF, we'll call her, and that's the subject of today's news and views. When I read this thing, I thought, holy cow. Because this one, if you really stop and ponder the implications of this one's got to have them burning the midnight oil in Washington and London, I'm sure. This one came on, it appeared yesterday, as a matter of fact, March 2nd, 2016. And I've got it linked for you. The headline here, I'm going to read the whole article. It's very short, but it is huge with implications, all right? The headline on it is Spetsnaz Undercover Among ISIS, Directing Russian Airstrikes Within 3 meters of Targets, all right? Now, Spetsnaz, for those of you who may not be familiar with the term, that's simply the Russian term for their special forces, and they are usually understood to be GRU or former KGB, now FSI special operatives, all right? So this is a huge story, but I'm going to read the whole thing to you because it's very short, and then I want to comment on some implications because there's one statement in this that, again, is actually 2 statements that are really huge with implications. Here we go. Quote, if you've ever wondered why exactly the Russian campaign against ISIS has been so unbelievably successful, this is why. It has emerged that Chechen teams of Russian Spetsnaz, special forces units, have infiltrated into the ranks of ISIS throughout both Iraq and Syria. Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov broke the incredible news on Russian TV. Quote, unfortunately, we do have losses, but we know the cost of this sacrifice. They want to secure peace on the territory of the Chechen Republic and Russia in general. Even, unquote, even before the term ISIS hit the international lexicon, Kadyrov knew of the Western operated training camps for quote-unquote moderate rebels, better known as jihadist terrorists, and planted Chechen Spetsnaz soldiers into them. Quote, they weren't known in Russia yet. Actually, I didn't know they would call them ISIS either, but I knew they trained such groups because I intentionally sent my people there to check out whether it was true or not. So, our soldiers went through training at NATO bases and founded the Syrian state, ISIS. They wear clothes common for ISIS and look like them, unquote. The mission led to a widespread network of Chechen agents being established throughout the terrorist group, collecting vital information on jihadist whereabouts, numbers, and structure. Note that statement, folks. Collecting vital information on jihadist whereabouts, numbers, and structure. In other words, the network itself, the terrorist network itself. The most incredible results, however, were achieved when the embedded agents began coordinating their information with Russia's air campaign. Quote, there were instances where our aviation attacked so accurately that when they hit the target within a 3 to 5 meter distance, our people would call and say that they shoot so accurately, it's really great to watch, unquote. Kadyrov apparently speaks so openly of the operation because he is confident that the Chechen men are so deeply embedded that they will never be caught. In fact, openly revealing the operation now may even be seen as a tactical move, as it will sow more seeds of chaos and confusion into the already collapsing terror group, unquote. Now, I didn't read the very last sentence of this article, because it really isn't all that significant. So I want you to note two things now, actually three things. Number one, these agents were training in NATO camps. So in other words, Russia knows which camps are involved. They know the training techniques that NATO has been using to stage all of these covert regime change operations, all right? So in other words, they know the internal networks and logistics of the NATO operation. Number two, they have infiltrated over a period of time all of these groups, all right? This is the huge part of this story, folks, that I don't think that even the writers of this article understood how huge and significant this is. Because what this is saying is that Russia has played a very long-term game infiltrating these networks. This means, if you really want to flesh out the implications here of what this may mean, this means that there may be similar Russian agents in place inside of Turkey, and here comes the real bombshell, inside of Saudi Arabia, all right? So this has got to have them worried immensely. Now, Saudi Arabia may sound like an unlikely place for Russia to have any very deep human intelligence penetration, but never underestimate Russian intelligence. I think this story is so huge for not just its tactical implications, but for its wider operational and strategic implications in the Middle East. And then finally, besides infiltrating the camps, knowing the techniques that NATO is using to do all of this stuff, and that means including recruitment, folks. The final interesting thing is that Russia has now, as the article itself states, exposed this whole operation on its own. So in other words, this is classical psychological warfare. And to expose this operation means that, in my opinion, most likely this operation has been widely spread and going on for a long time. So in other words, in addition to Saudi Arabia and Turkey, can you say the Ukraine? Can you say other similar types of cells that the West has attempted to infiltrate elsewhere? This is, in other words, in my opinion, folks, this is a very, very clever warning message that if further covert operations, regime change, false flag things are scheduled in the Western repertoire, Russia's sending the message that it has them penetrated. And as I've said so many times before, two can play the covert operations game. Now, folks, this has got to have them worried, because for all of you, I don't know how else to describe you, for all of you people who think that martial law is going to come slamming down any minute now, which it may or may not. You know, I've been hearing that one for 40 years. But for all of you entertaining that scenario, it also means that even there, we could be facing, the Western power elites could be facing the potential of internal infiltration of anything, any units that might be involved in operations like that. Now think of how this is going to play in Europe. This means that all of those Gladio cells that we've heard so much about, that many of them may be penetrated in a similar way. So I think Russia's sending a very, very clear message here. I think this is a huge, significant story, even though it's so short. And this means something else. Finally, if they've infiltrated ISIS, this means they have human intelligence. It means very likely that they have human intelligence on the whole internal network of financing behind all of this. And that's got to be powerful, powerful stuff. This may be why we're looking at such an abrupt turnaround yet again with American policy vis-a-vis Syria. Hugely significant story. I want to thank Ms. KF for sending this, because this is a story that we definitely want to watch. That's it for today's news and views, guys. I'll see everybody on the flip side. Bye-bye, and God bless.